Most people don't set goals. They make wishes. They whisper to themselves late at night, someday I'll start that business, or one day I'll get in shape, as if saying it out loud is enough to make it real. But here's the truth. Without a plan, a goal is just a fantasy wearing a disguise. How many dreams have you let die because you never had a system to bring them to life? Think of someone you know, or maybe it's you, who's been talking about writing a book for years. They have the ideas, the talent, even the passion. But year after year, nothing happens. Not because they didn't want it badly enough, but because they never moved from wishing to thinking. They never built the habits, broke the dream into steps, or committed to the process. Wishing feels good, but thinking, the kind of thinking that leads to action, is what actually creates change. In this video, we're going to flip the switch. You'll learn how to set goals that stick, goals that aren't based on hype or hope, but built on clarity, strategy, and daily commitment. Because when you stop wishing and start thinking, your goals stop floating and start landing. Let's get to work. Number 1, why most people fail at goals. The harsh reality is this: most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they never learned how to set goals that actually work. The most common reason is lack of clarity. People say they want to get healthy or make more money, but what does that even mean? Without specifics, the brain can't create a roadmap. It's like typing success into Google Maps and expecting directions. Then there's the timeline problem. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. It becomes something we'll get to eventually, and eventually never comes. Add to that the fear of failure, and you've got the perfect storm for inaction. Many people avoid clearly defining their goals because deep down, they're afraid of what it would mean if they tried and failed. It's easier to keep it vague. That way we don't have to face the reality of coming up short. Another trap? Setting goals to impress others. Social media has made it dangerously easy to craft a highlight reel version of your ambitions. Talking about the book you're writing, the startup you're launching, the marathon you're training for. But there's a psychological catch here. Neuroscience shows that talking about your goals can actually trick your brain into thinking you've already accomplished them. That initial dopamine spike from sharing your dream can dull your drive to do the hard work. This is the illusion of progress, when sharing replaces doing and hype replaces habit. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains that goals don't determine your success, systems do. In fact, according to a famous study often misattributed to Harvard or Yale, it was found that the small percentage of students who wrote down their goals and developed plans to achieve them ended up earning significantly more than their peers who didn't. While the exact details of that study are debated, the underlying principle remains valid. Clarity, commitment, and strategy matter far more than mere intention. The truth is, most people never fail at their goals. They fail before they even begin. They never define them clearly. They never break them down into manageable steps. They chase the feeling of wanting change, but never embrace the process of creating it. If you want different results, if you want goals that transform your life instead of haunting you, you need a different approach, and that starts with thinking, not wishing. Number 2, the power of clarity. Define what you really want. The first step to any real success is clarity, not ambition, not motivation, not even action. Clarity. If you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, how can you ever hope to hit the mark? Here's the hard truth. Most people are chasing goals that don't even belong to them. They pursue a career because their parents expected it, dream of a lifestyle they saw on Instagram, or set goals based on what others will applaud, not what truly fulfills them. So before you go another step, ask yourself, is this goal really mine, or am I chasing someone else's version of success? You owe it to yourself to find out. Clarity goes deeper than just naming a goal. It's the difference between saying, I want to lose 20 pounds, and I want to become the kind of person who prioritizes health every single day. The first is an outcome goal. It's about the result. The second is an identity goal. It's about who you're becoming. And that shift is everything. When your goals are tied to your identity, they become part of how you see yourself. You don't just act healthy, you become a healthy person. You don't just try to be wealthy, you become someone who thinks, plans, and moves like a wealth creator. To get there, you need to go inward. Visualization isn't just a motivational gimmick, it's a neurological tool. Take 5 minutes and close your eyes. Picture your ideal life, not just the money or the house, but how you wake up, what kind of work you do, how you spend your time, who you're surrounded by, how you feel at the end of the day. Now grab a journal and write down your answers to 2 powerful questions. What do I want my life to look like in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? And if success were guaranteed, what would I pursue with all my heart? These prompts force your brain to get specific, and in specificity, your power is unlocked. Clarity also helps you eliminate the unnecessary. When you know exactly where you're going, distractions become obvious. You no longer chase every opportunity. You filter everything through the lens of your goal. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying no with confidence, because anything that doesn't move you closer becomes noise. And let's be honest, most people are overwhelmed. Not because they have too many responsibilities, but because they have too little direction. The people who succeed, the ones who truly transform their lives, don't leave their future to chance. They define it, they shape it, they write it down and commit to it like their life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. You can dream all you want, you can wish every night for a different life, but until you get clear on what you really want, you'll always be spinning in circles. You can't hit a target you haven't clearly defined. Number 3, the goal-setting formula, from dream to system. Everyone has dreams, but very few turn those dreams into systems. And that's the difference between people who talk about what they want and people who go out and get it. Setting goals isn't just about writing something in a journal and hoping it manifests. It's about structure. It's about translating desire into daily behavior. And that's where real change begins. A good starting point is the SMART goal framework. Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, instead of saying I want to write a book, you say I will write 500 words every weekday for the next 12 weeks, finishing the first draft of my 40,000-word manuscript. This alone brings your goal from vague to actionable. But let's go deeper, because SMART goals are only the foundation. Real transformation requires systems that can carry you through motivation slumps, setbacks, and everyday distractions. One powerful system is the WOOP-E method, developed by psychologist Gabriela Oettingen. It stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. First, name your wish. What do you want? Second, visualize the outcome. How will it feel to achieve it? Third, identify your obstacle. What's the most likely thing to get in your way? And finally, create a plan to overcome that obstacle. This isn't just mindset work, it's practical brain training. Studies show that WOOP-E increases follow-through dramatically because it prepares your mind, not just for success, but for resistance. If you want to build a habit of going to the gym, don't just imagine yourself getting fit. Picture how you'll respond when you're tired, when it's raining, or when you feel unmotivated. Then plan. If I feel tired after work, I'll still put on my gym clothes and go for just 10 minutes. That micro-commitment often leads to full follow-through. Another system used by high performers is called backcasting. Instead of starting where you are and plotting forward, you start with the end goal. Let's say you want to earn $100,000 from your business by next year. You then work backward. What needs to happen the month before that? What needs to happen 3 months before that? This reverse engineering approach forces you to confront reality and breaks your dream into immediate practical steps. It keeps you grounded in execution rather than overwhelmed by the big picture. Now add the 12-week year philosophy from Brian P. Moran. The idea is simple. Annual goals are too slow. They create procrastination. So instead of setting yearly goals, treat every 12 weeks as a year. What would you do if you only had 12 weeks to hit your most important goal? Suddenly, every week matters. Every day becomes part of a sprint. The 12-week year compresses urgency and clarity into a short burst of focused execution. It turns goals into sprints, not marathons. But no matter what system you choose, the key is breaking it down. Your big goal needs to become a quarterly target. That quarterly target needs to become monthly checkpoints. Those months must become weekly tasks. And those weeks need to lead to daily actions. The smaller the chunk, the easier it is to move forward. If your goal is to build a YouTube channel with 10,000 subscribers, don't obsess over the 10K. Break it down. Can you post 2 high-quality videos a week? Can you batch record content every Sunday? Can you learn 1 new editing skill per month? These mini milestones are your momentum builders. Each time you hit one, your confidence grows. And when your confidence grows, your consistency follows. To keep yourself accountable, combine your system with habit stacking. From James Clear's Atomic Habits, habit stacking means attaching a new habit to an existing one. If you want to journal your goals each morning, link it to brushing your teeth. If you want to study every night, link it to your evening cup of tea. This makes progress automatic, not optional. Your brain loves patterns. Use that to your advantage. Real-life success stories confirm this over and over again. Take the example of Sarah, a full-time nurse who wanted to launch her own online coaching business. Instead of quitting her job and diving in blindly, she used backcasting. Her end goal: replace her full-time income in 12 months. She broke it into quarterly goals: build a website, grow an email list, launch a pilot course. She created weekly task lists, stacked habits like waking up early for 90-minute work sessions, and kept a WUP plan taped to her bathroom mirror. 12 months later, she handed in her resignation letter and never looked back. Dreams inspire you, systems deliver you. Until you build a structure that translates your dreams into disciplined execution, success will always feel out of reach. So take your vision seriously enough to break it down, make it measurable, make it daily, make it inevitable. Number 4, the psychology of execution, building consistency and grit. This is where most people quit, not because the goal is too far, but because the path gets muddy. They start strong, inspired by vision boards and motivational quotes, but when the excitement fades, so does the action. The truth is, goals are not achieved in bursts of inspiration. They are achieved through systems that survive your worst days. And to build a system that lasts, you must understand the psychology of execution. At its core are 3 silent killers: perfectionism, procrastination, and fear. Fear of success just as much as fear of failure. Perfectionism convinces you not to begin unless conditions are ideal. It whispers, wait until you're ready, when the reality is, readiness is a lie. Procrastination, often disguised as planning, keeps you stuck in endless preparation rather than execution. And fear that you'll try your hardest and still fail, or that you'll succeed and be pressured to maintain it, paralyzes even the most capable minds. To beat these traps, intelligent achievers rely on mental models, not motivation. One of the most effective is the 2-minute rule, which says, if something takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. And if your goal feels too big, just do the first 2 minutes of it. Want to write a book? Just open the document and write a sentence. Want to work out? Just change into your gym clothes. The 2-minute rule isn't about doing everything. It's about beating the inertia that keeps you frozen. Momentum, once created, does the heavy lifting. Another powerful model is implementation intentions. Instead of vaguely planning to work on your goal tomorrow, you pre-decide your actions based on triggers. You say, if it's 6 a.m., then I will sit at my desk and write. If I get home from work, then I'll lace up my shoes and run for 20 minutes. Studies show this drastically increases follow-through because it links intention to context. Your brain loves structure. Give it one. But perhaps the most transformative model is the concept of identity-based habits, made popular by James Clear in Atomic Habits. Rather than focusing solely on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Don't just set a goal to run a marathon. Become a runner. Don't just save money. Become a person who is financially wise. This shift is profound because behaviors tied to identity are far more likely to stick. Every time you follow through, no matter how small, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to be. And over time, your identity catches up to your actions. The key is to stop relying on motivation and build your system on discipline. Motivation is fleeting, it's a spark. But discipline is the engine, and it doesn't come from brute force. It comes from making actions simple, small, and repeatable. You don't need to crush every workout. You need to show up, especially on the days you don't feel like it. You don't need to write a perfect chapter. You need to keep the streak alive. Show up tired, show up scared, show up bored, but show up. Let's look at a case study. Alex, a software developer, dreamed of transitioning into full-time content creation. For months, he consumed every productivity hack on the internet, but never posted a single video. He was stuck in perfectionism. Then he shifted. He created a simple rule. Every morning, he would spend 30 minutes scripting. No editing, no filming, just scripting. He used implementation intentions. If I make coffee, then I will open my script doc. He embraced the 2-minute rule. If he didn't want to write, he would just open the doc and read yesterday's paragraph. Slowly, the resistance faded. Within 6 months, he had over 40 published videos and a growing audience. His secret? He stopped treating consistency as a feeling and started treating it as a non-negotiable identity. Your goals don't care how motivated you feel, they care how committed you are. Execution isn't about fire, it's about friction. Removing it, planning for it, pushing through it. So build systems that work on your worst days. Anchor your habits to your identity. Set tiny steps that create big momentum. And remember, dreams don't die from a lack of inspiration. They die from a lack of follow-through. Train your mind to show up no matter what. That's where the breakthrough lives. Number 5, how to handle setbacks without losing momentum. Setbacks are not a sign you're doing something wrong. They're a sign you're doing something meaningful. Anyone who's ever set a big goal knows this truth. Failure isn't a possibility. It's a guarantee. You will miss a deadline. You will fall off the routine. You will wake up some days and wonder if all your effort is even worth it. And that's exactly why emotional resilience is one of the most underrated keys to success. The people who make it aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall 100 times and get back up 101. They don't let a bad day spiral into a bad week. They don't let one missed workout turn into abandoning the gym entirely. They've trained themselves to view failure not as a dead end, but as part of the path. This shift in mindset is everything. What separates those who quit from those who adapt is how they interpret setbacks. Most people fall into what's called a failure loop. Something doesn't go as planned, they feel shame, and that shame leads to avoidance or self-sabotage. But high performers use what's called a feedback loop. They pause, reflect, and extract the lesson. Instead of asking, "Why did I mess up again?" they ask, "What can I learn from this to improve next time?" That subtle reframe is the foundation of growth. You're not supposed to get everything right on the first try. You're supposed to adjust, refine, and evolve. To make that adjustment process real, you need tangible tools. One of the most effective is habit tracking. Whether it's on a calendar, an app, or a simple notebook. Tracking your behaviors gives you data. It turns emotion into information. If you missed a week of workouts, you can look back and see why. Were your work hours longer? Did you stay up too late scrolling? Awareness always precedes change. Journaling is another powerful practice. It helps you process disappointment, reconnect with your why, and rebuild your internal narrative. You're not just writing what happened, you're writing who you are becoming. Then there's the role of accountability. Having someone to check in with, whether a friend, coach, or community, can be the difference between quitting and pushing through. When no one knows your goals, it's easy to let them slide. But when someone's expecting that weekly check-in, your standard rises. And don't forget progress reviews. Every 30 days, look at how far you've come. Not just in results, but in habits, mindset, and discipline. Maybe your savings didn't grow as fast as you hoped, but did you stick to your budget for 80% of the month? That's progress. Maybe you didn't finish your novel, but did you write 10,000 more words than last month? That's movement. These reviews help you see the bigger picture when you're stuck in the details. They remind you that success isn't linear. It's a staircase built one messy, imperfect step at a time. In the end, what makes someone successful isn't flawless execution. It's how quickly they recover. You will break the streak. You will miss the deadline. You will feel like giving up. But you must train your mind to bounce, not break. Forgive yourself fast. Recommit faster. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be persistent. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fall. It's the ones who get back up faster. Every time you rise, you build a stronger version of yourself. And that, more than any strategy or system, is what creates unstoppable momentum. Number 6, vision, energy, and environment. Making goals a lifestyle. You can have the clearest goals in the world, the best strategies, the most well-written to-do lists. But if your environment is fighting against your ambition, you'll constantly feel like you're swimming upstream. That's because we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And the most overlooked system of all is the one that surrounds us. Our physical environment, our routines, the people in our orbit, and the energy we either protect or leak. High achievers know this. They don't just chase goals, they build lives that support those goals. It begins with environment design. If your workspace is cluttered, distracting, or filled with things that remind you of procrastination, it's quietly draining your focus. If your social circle is filled with people who scoff at ambition, who downplay growth or glorify mediocrity, your standards begin to shrink to match. But the opposite is also true. When you intentionally craft a space that reflects your aspirations, clean desk, inspiring visuals, focused energy, your mind begins to align. When you surround yourself with driven, positive people who push you higher, you evolve by association. Environment isn't passive. It's a silent partner in your progress. And then there's energy. We talk a lot about time management, but the real game is energy management. You can have 10 free hours a day, but if you're exhausted, burnt out, or distracted, nothing gets done. So think of your energy like currency, and every decision either spends or saves it. Sleep is non-negotiable. Your brain can't focus, plan, or regulate emotion on 5 hours of rest. Nutrition is your fuel. Processed foods, sugar spikes, and caffeine crashes wreck your clarity. Movement is momentum. Even a 15-minute walk rewires your brain for creativity and discipline. And perhaps most importantly, boundaries. Learn to say no. Learn to protect your mornings, your focus time, and your recovery. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that could move your life forward. To keep your vision alive, you need constant cues. The brain responds to symbols, images, and repetition. That's why vision boards work. Not because they're magical, but because they're reminders. Put one where you'll see it daily. Change your phone wallpaper to a word or image that represents your goal. Set alarms with messages like, "Are you acting like your future self right now?" Or "Remember your why." These micro reminders can shift your behavior in the moment and rewire your habits over time. The more your external world reflects your internal desires, the faster the two come into harmony. Ultimately, success isn't about grinding harder. It's about living aligned. Your habits, your space, your energy, and your community should all be pulling you in the same direction. When you stop compartmentalizing your goals as something you do after work or on the weekend and start designing a lifestyle that supports them 24/7, you stop struggling. You start flowing. The friction fades, and the impossible starts to feel inevitable. So ask yourself, does your environment reflect your future or your past? Is your energy fueling your purpose or your distractions? Because in the end, goals aren't something you chase, they're something you become. Build the life that makes them unavoidable. That's how you make goals not just achievable, but sustainable for life. At the end of the day, setting goals isn't about wishful thinking. It's about transforming desire into direction. Wishing alone won't change your life. But thinking with clarity, acting with purpose, and committing with consistency absolutely will. Every breakthrough you want, more freedom, better health, financial independence, deeper purpose, it doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with a decision. A decision to stop dreaming vaguely and start planning specifically. A decision to stop hoping someday and start executing today. The truth is, most people don't fail because their goals are too big. They fail because their systems are too weak. They rely on willpower instead of structure. They chase motivation instead of building identity. But now, you know better. You've learned the power of clarity, of measurable milestones, of small, consistent actions, of managing energy and designing environments that support your future, not sabotage it. So start now, not tomorrow, not next Monday. Take one goal that truly matters to you, something that lights you up, and get crystal clear on it. Break it down into actions. Build a system around it. Set triggers. Track progress, eliminate friction, and commit to showing up even when it's inconvenient. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. Every time you follow through, no matter how small the win, you're rewiring your brain and building momentum. Remember, the future you want is waiting, but it won't chase you. You have to chase it with a plan. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop hoping life will magically change. You are the architect of your next chapter. So don't just wish for it. Work for it. One step, one system, one goal at a time. Your next level isn't a fantasy, it's a formula. And now you hold the blueprint.